Okay, Carol Carter, called, she had an appointment that came up unexpectedly, so she won't be here. We have a majority here, so we'll go ahead, with the meeting. I'll officially call the meeting to order. We've got actually two pastors on the committee, Pastor Lacy and Pastor Carter. So I'm gonna ask, Ms. Lacy if he would give us an invocation.
Let us bow. Eternal God, our Father, we come today to say thank you, Master, for this another day. Thank you for another opportunity for us to gather here today, dear God. We pray that you be in the midst of this meeting, dear God, that your will be done here on today. And we just bless each one that's here, and we be mindful to give you all the honor, glory, and praise. In your Son, Jesus' name, we ask it all. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Appreciate that. First of all, Dr. King is that was either in subsequent meetings you'll be in if you have any questions about anything concerning responsibilities. What we want to do is to actually form after you guys have been approved in our January board meeting. I want to make sure that you go ahead and meet so we can organize, and during the organization, there's two things you guys do is elect a chairperson and elect a secretary. Before we do all of that, let's start with Ms. Pam, and let's go around and introduce yourselves.
What do you want to say?
Anybody do what do you like to say?
Pam Bates. I'm a retired school teacher from Denmark. I taught 30 and a half years at Denmark. Retired in 2009, and I subbed to 2016. And I said, I'm going to enjoy my retirement. So, blessed to be here. Thank you. Yes.
I'm Olivia Abernathy, and I have two kids in the school system right now at Arlington Elementary. They've been there for 4 years. I'm a social worker, but now going back to school, I'm going to seminary, so I'm kind of in between a bunch of different things. So.
I'm Bill Kipp. Our children attended the K-12 in the Jackson-Madison County School System and graduated from Northside. I was in human resources for 40 years at Gerdau, which before that was Gerdau Ameris Steel, before that was Florida Steel, and retired in 2018 as their HR manager. And this is our second year term, I guess, on the ethics committee, Reverend Lacy and I. And there is a procedural thing that I'm going to ask you about after Reverend Lacy introduces himself.
Okay.
Well, I'm Paul Lacy, pastor of Martin Tabernacle CME Church for the last 6 years. My kids went to public school here, graduated from Southside, went to West, and graduated from Southside, and just looking forward to working with you. Hopefully we don't need to. But anyway.
Sure, absolutely.
My son graduated all through the public schools, graduated from Southside, and he's now the mayor of Jackson.
All right.
So,
She taught my son.
yes, I did, and his niece.
Yeah, right, my niece.
But shh.
I'm not gonna tell you how old Wesley is now.
Well, the procedural thing I had a question about
Go ahead.
was that we met as a committee, the previous committee, on December 17th of 2019. And Sylvia Showalter, who was the secretary at that time, prepared the minutes. And, the procedure is that you present the minutes at the next meeting, which this is the next meeting. Because I'd asked Dale about it, and he said usually that's what happens, is that you present those at the next meeting. So Sylvia has since passed away.
Right.
But I do have a copy of the minutes, and of course the only two that were on at the meeting was Reverend Lacy and I. But so I don't know if I'm supposed to introduce those and provide those now, or.
Well, you can actually give them to our board secretary. That's one of the things that I want to explain is the committee is a one-year term. Even though you guys served previously,
Right.
you had to be renominated and reelected. Okay, so that's what I want to make sure everybody understands.
Mm-hmm.
So those minutes was actually applied to the previous term. Okay.
Right.
And we'll have a subsequent meeting with Dale Thomas, our board attorney. So I know that at one meeting, going through the policy, you want the questions that come up you won't have all, in our first meeting. So we have a subsequent meeting, and that way, hopefully, all 5 members will be present.
Mhm.
Okay. Now what I want to do is, go through, the policy. I got, copies for each one of you. In case you didn't, bring yours. So what I wanted to do is review the policy and also explain the purpose of the committee. Because of the policy, that's why we formed the committee. And Paul and Bill were part of the first committee that we actually elected. So it's always good to have outside auditors, if you will. So if there's issues that come up that someone may not want to bring to us internally, we have you guys actually that could strain those for us with the notion that, you know, ethics issues, policy issues, and statutes are 3 different things. Okay, you guys be dealing with the ethic issues, and if you have an issue that comes up and it turns out not to be ethical, Dale can actually help you guide you through that issue, and if it has to be with policy, it can be dealt with another way. If it has to be with statute, then of course it deals, becomes a legal issue. Okay. So that's why I want to make sure you understand the purpose of the committee. With that, Bill and Paul, if you guys want to add anything that you learned in that first year, I know that we met this one time, right?
We met,
Once.
once when we had our first, like we're doing today,
Right.
and then we met a second time when Dale walked us through the policy.
Right,
Those were the 2 meetings, yeah, and that was it. I brought this, this is this product of the second meeting, which the school system adopted. We thought that there should be a way by which the employees know about the ethics, policy and what to do.
Right.
And so this was delivered, this was sent out, to all of the employees of the school system, back, I think in like January of 2020.
Yeah,
So
and I think it'd be a good practice for us to read, that we got,
It's just, it's
new
that way,
employees,
cause,
and that way it's just a, reminder.
no, Miss Emily's down there, y'all. But that was, cause that was our question, was how do employees know about the ethics policy or the ethics, committee? And so that was how and that was sent out, I think Janet Stack at the time, she sent it out, I think in January 2020.
Yeah, I think it's a good practice, that way everybody's knowledgeable, and if there's, questions, concerns, they know where, direct those to. For you guys, if you have any at all, Dale will be the first contact, and what, we'll discuss when we to the actual, officer. If issues come up on the committee, whoever you elect as chairperson, that chairperson should actually, move those forward to Dale or whomever. But let's start with, section 2, which deals with actually, section 1 deals with definition, section 2 deals with, personal interest. And I think, someone has was thinking that the ethics committee just applies to board members, but it applies to board members and employees. Okay. So that's why I want to make sure we go through the policy. And for us as board members, in section 2, we have to, we're obligated to make a disclosure if we have interest in matters that we vote on. And we're actually supposed to make that known prior to any vote. And the smart thing to do is recuse ourselves from that vote if that's an issue. Okay. Any questions about section 2? Section 3 is disclosure of personal interest in non-voting matters. There could be some issues that may abound that may not be directly a voting issue, but it could be something that decisions is made later on that you may have an interest in that you may need to make, the board aware of. That's basically what that states. In section 4, and this is, this deals with most, boards that, I've been on several, and you guys probably been on boards too, that, acceptance of gifts, things of value that may, influence your vote on issues. So it kind of defines, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. In section 5, undue influence. And one of the examples, for board members, in this section, is if a board member pressures the director of schools, to hire or fire an employee. Because actually, where our policy board members states is that the only employee we have is the superintendent. We're direct supervision over the superintendent. Section 6, about complaints. And this actually, explains the makeup of the board, the ethics committee, not board, and, how you form or appoint, a chair and secretary. So that's what, this first meeting will be about. Unless there's a tie, what you decide today will be the actually, officers for the year. There's one thing I underline, the records of the ethics committee, the secretary actually takes the minutes. But she also, whoever the secretary is, also we can make sure that, set a copy of those is here with the superintendent in the superintendent's office. Okay. Because that actually becomes public, information. And under section 6, when it, you see that on, there's questions and complaints regarding violations. Everybody see that? Okay. And I think this is important, to read and discuss. Questions and complaints regarding violations of this code of ethics or any violations of state governing ethical conduct should be directed to the chair of the ethics committee. And I mentioned that earlier. Okay. Complaints should be in writing and signed by the person making the complaint. So if people is calling you on the phone, telling you want to complain about this, I want you to bring it to the committee, they don't give you name, information like that, it's not valid unless it's written and signed. Because if the person wants to make a complaint, they gotta be, responsible enough, to bring the complaint openly. Complaint should be in writing, signed by the person making the complaint, and shall set forth in reasonable detail the facts upon which the complaint is based. So, that's important, because we don't want, rumors, hearsay, facts. Because if you guys have to do an investigation, that's what you have to have facts. Okay, the school district ethics committee may investigate any credible complaint against an official or employee charging any violation of the code of ethics, or may undertake an investigation on its own initiative when it acquires information indicating a possible violation, and make recommendations for action to end or seek retribution of any activity that, in the committee's judgment, constitutes a violation of the code of ethics. Okay? If a member of the committee is the subject of the complaint, such member should recuse themselves or herself from all proceedings involving such complaint. So they're pretty self-explanatory. Anybody want any questions, add anything to that, comments? And the committee may, this is actions that you have to be able to take. First, number one, refer the matter to the board attorney for legal opinion and or recommendation for action. Number two, in the case of an official, refer the matter to the school board body for possible public censure if the board body finds such action warranted. Okay? Number three, in the case of an employee, refer the matter to the official responsible for supervision of the employee for possible disciplinary action if the official finds discipline warranted. Okay? Number four, in a case involving possible violations of state statutes, refer the matter to the district attorney for possible ouster or criminal prosecution. Okay. So with that, and I just advise that when you get into any of those situations, make sure you contact Bill Thomas. He'll help you through this. So he can clarify things. He knows the statutes. If he doesn't know them, he knows where to give them quickly. He knows our board policies because he's in all of our policy committee meetings, almost all of them. And he helps us. He just directs us through them when we have changes, updates, or when we add policies. Okay, and lastly, the interpretation that a reasonable person in the circumstances apply should be used in interpreting and enforcing this code of ethics. When a violation of the code of ethics also constitutes a violation of a personnel policy or a civil service policy, the violation shall be dealt with as a violation of the personnel or civil service provisions rather than a violation of the code of ethics. That's what I mentioned earlier. We have to know the difference between whether it's ethics, a policy issue or a statute issue. Okay? You guys deal with the ethic issues.
Yeah, that was one of the questions that we had, I know, when we met with Dale, and that was, what he suggested is that if there were any questions that we had as a committee, we could consult with him, so he could advise whether it's something that we, under our purview, or if it's something that should be handled by, within the system, or some other means.
Right, exactly. And we use them, I mean, for everything, so we don't misstep. And, if he errors, we can blame everything on him. No, it's just, a good practice, especially when we're dealing with issues and we, dealing with, people, we don't misstep, accuse someone of something that's really not legitimate. That's why it's so important that, we get complaints, you know, they're in writing, and they're signed, and we have facts. So any questions? I went through that, so I want to make sure that you, we covered it in our first meeting. But what, hopefully you do is you read through it again, and if there's any questions, at all, write those down in the next meeting. And we'll meet, in the next 30 days, so we can have, those questions answered, for you, and hopefully we have, a full committee, in attendance.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons that we did the same thing on the first committee, was so that way we're not, hopefully, like Reverend Lacey said, we're not in a situation where we have to meet, but in case it happens, we're not just getting educated at that moment, that the education occurred beforehand about, what the guidelines, provide for, and who it applies to, and family members, what's that definition, all those kinds of things. Cause it's very specific,
Right, exactly. And if there's, and I'll talk to, Dale, if there's anything additional, reference information that will assist you, make sure we get that, to you also. Demetri will email it to you, when you have hard copies, however you want, us to handle that. But we want to make sure that, everything's clear. If you have any questions, I don't want you to have to wait and sweat it out. You never know when issues may come up, so that's why I prefer and we meet within the next 30 days, so if there's questions or any other clarifications that you guys may, need, for the meeting, we can get that cleared up.
Okay.
Alright. So with that, y'all duty, other duty, is to elect a chairperson and a secretary. And what, our, board secretary will do is she'll have the minutes of whoever, the secretary should get a copy to them, so you have all the recorded, meetings. And we'll make sure that, a copy is also in the superintendent's office. Okay. I have any recommendations or?
I recommend you, yeah.
There's a motion.
Oh, I don't know. How do you do that?
Yeah, you want to make that as a motion?
I make a motion that Mr. Kip be our chairperson.
Second.
Yeah, a motion and a second.
Is that okay, I guess, I mean, for being twice in a row?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, this is another one year, you know, last year don't even count.
I just wanna make sure, you know.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I did.
Okay.
Oh, Lacey, second, okay. Okay, any questions? All in favor? You know by sign of aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
And I didn't know if I should vote or not, so I just.
You can, yeah. You're on the committee, you can vote. Okay, so, since you're the chair, you want to?
Well, is there someone that would like to be secretary? Or wouldn't mind being secretary?
I don't have the computer meetings.
I don't mind it.
You don't mind it?
Thank you, Vivian.
Is that, so then I'll make a motion then that Olivia is the, secretary, for this term.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Bill, and second by Pam, will be the secretary.
And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So, now I have a secretary.
I'm guessing she's taking notes on this.
Yes, yeah, we got, she's recording, she's good at work, she good at it. So Bill, I just asked you when, if you would, get in contact with the committee, in the next 30 days, and contact,
But we need to ask Carol, I guess what we could do right now is maybe try to get some dates that look good for the four of us. And then that way we can give Carol and Dale some options.
right,
So,
that's what I suggest here, so, he can be in attendance, and Carol also.
right, cause we wanna make sure that they're included. So does, you know, I guess, I know we're leaving, town on the 31st to go visit our oldest daughter, that's March 31st. So like Pete said, we'd like to try to do it before then, anyway. So do you have any known conflicts that we need to avoid?
The 15th through the 19th is the, spring break, and
Oh, that's right.
we'll be fine.
Okay, so that week is out, so. That leaves 2 weeks before that, like next week and the week after. How about that week of, March the 8th? Are there any conflicts in that week that y'all know of?
What did we do different time? Yeah, that's our, for a work session, if y'all meet at a different time, we meet at 5:30, so you meet earlier so Dale can attend, cause he'll be at our work
Right,
session.
what date is that?
The 8th?
March the 8th, okay. So that's y'all meet at 5:30?
Correct.
The 8th,
Maybe a
9th,
different
and the
day.
11th, 'cause the 11th is the board meeting, isn't that correct?
Right.
Okay, so March 8th, what was the other 2 days?
11th.
March 11th.
And the 9th is Ed Vision, so he's in there too.
So maybe the week before.
So
But I'm just thinking next week might be a little, you know,
early.
well, it might not be, I mean, just because we don't know their schedules. But what you're saying is that, now what, time-wise, what it works best for y'all? This time, like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock?
3 o'clock.
A little earlier would be better for me, but I can make it work, but kids get out of school, but I can make it happen.
For the afternoon then, I mean, would be better, okay.
I'll be virtual school at my church Tuesday and Thursdays, so I could leave, someone can fill in for me and I can leave early, it's no problem.
What time does that normally get over?
Say we have high school and elementary about 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock,
Mhm.
okay.
But I can leave early, I can get someone
Okay,
for that time.
all right.
But those days that we gave concerning our board meeting, you wanna be earlier, so I wanna, factor that out, cause,
Right.
you can give a Dale and Carol, if they can, if they're
Right, so
available.
if we, like, for example, if we met like at 4 o'clock, you know, then Dale, although that's a little bit,
No, that's fine, yeah.
then on those dates, cause y'all meet at 5:30.
Right.
And the last time we met, it took about an hour,
Mhm.
when Dale went through the process with us, so. All right, well, I can just provide it, if y'all, yeah, I don't have any conflicts on those dates, that I see at, how about you, Paul? Do you have any conflicts? So why don't I do this, I'll just send out something that just says, these are the 5 dates, and, we'll shoot for like, what do y'all prefer? 3, 3:30, 4 o'clock?
4's great. 4's great.
4 o'clock, okay. And I'll just send out those 5 dates, and, you know, and see what everybody says yes to, if that's okay.
Sure, and check with Demetria, so make sure you have the conference rooms are already booked or something, so we'll make sure we have a place we can meet.
Okay,
Right.
yeah, if you could let us know, do you know of any conflicts right now, for
Not
any
that I
of those
know
5
of, I
days?
don't have to, until I know the date and,
Where will the school board meeting be?
and
For
next month it'll be at Madison.
Madison?
So we really do need to be done by 5 so that Dale could get over to, Madison. And that education vision meeting on the 9th, what time is that?
5:30.
That's also
Oh,
5:30?
yes, sir.
Okay, all of them are 5:30, okay. All right.
Do you need our email addresses or?
I think I got them from.
It should be in the, like the.
But I will do
emails.
this, if y'all, why don't we just, if it's, is it okay, I'm gonna send y'all an email, we won't do this, but, if y'all could provide your phone numbers, when and then that way we could also have that contact information too. So. Alright, so I'll send an email out, this afternoon when I get home, and just find out what, everybody's availability is, and we'll shoot for that week of March 8th through March the 12th.
Before you dismiss, I just want, reiterate how, appreciative, our board is. You guys accepting this responsibility to assist us, the ethics committee, I think it's important. In my opinion, all policies are important, and this is a policy that we, had in place. Last year was the first time we actually, made it work, so we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for
You
inviting
good?
me. And with that, do I have a motion to, is there any other business that we should discuss? Y'all aware of? Do I have a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. So, okay. We're, get this sent out to everybody.